Right, hopefully you can see me okay and the lighting's fine. As always, the lighting's a bit dodgy in this kitchen. The window's there, it faces on me and it's too early to get the lighting out. It's a weekday, I'm off work, I decided to brew a beer. I'm off work a week, in fact. I've got some free time. Decided to do a Brewmeister brew. It's halfway through or near the end of a mash out. We're doing the dry stout from the Bible. It's too early for a home brew, so I've got a little espresso I'm supping on. This is my third no chill beer in probably the last 4-ish weeks. I'm probably not going to do the whole brew day, obviously, because I've already done a lot of it this morning. I will do a full kind of Brewmeister brew day, but to be honest, I'm not sure how people, let me know if you want to see it, put in the comments below and I'll do one, but I just think that maybe it's a little bit too kind of uninvolved for some people. They might not want to see it. It's so kind of quick and efficient and easy. There's not really a lot to film. I started off this morning at 20 to 7. I had the Brewmeister out last night. I stored mine in the loft. I think there's an extra few ways you can even speed up a brew day, even if you haven't got the Brewmeister. It's what I used to do, and I still do in my brew in a bag setup, is to get the pot from wherever it is normally and get it out with the water in, so the water is at room temperature, because especially in winter, if the groundwater's coming out, it's really cold, it's going to have to adjust to get up to that temperature. So if you have your water out the night before, even if you get your strike water up the night before and you can overnight mash, there's loads of ways you can speed up time for a brew day. But I've really been cutting some corners of late, and to be fair, I feel that some of the beer I produce probably should be quite inferior as a result of that. And there's a lot going against me right now. I've got quite a sufficient amount of grain, but it's old, and I mean it's probably nearing the kind of the year mark. It's been well kept. It's my main grain is in kind of storage bags, in big kind of like heavy duty storage drums at my mum's garage. My smaller grains are in airtight boxes. The hops have always been in the freezer, the yeast is in the fridge, all that's good, but my grain I feel isn't at its best. Even when you're kind of tasting it, you're chewing on a few bits, it's still got that, it's still extracting the sugars and that, but I don't think it's going to be as efficient as a fresher grain. But I just feel, what's the point in throwing it when I can make a fairly okay beer that I can brew up and have at home? It's not going to win any competitions, but it will do me. So I decided I'm just going to use it, I'm just going to keep brewing until it's all gone. So I used up a beer kit that I had, which was a lot fresher, and I made an American wheat beer, if you like. Used the kit as it was, did it as a no chill in the 25 litre cube from the malt miller. Turned out fantastic. I had that on my other video. The week just gone, or a couple of weeks, no, it's more than that now, time's just escaped me. I did what did I do? Oh, sorry, this is just going to beep. Right, that's the end of the mash. I'm going to pull the malt pipe and get that set off, and then I'll cut back. The success of making like an American wheat using mosaic, added straight to the cube. I've brewed up another batch of beer, which is currently fermenting away, and that is the porter from the Homebrew Bible. And I used Columbus for that, so I'm kind of trying to go for the Columbus brown that I did before, but I've kind of cheated. I've done not really actually, to be fair, the Columbus brown only had a 30-minute boil when that was a proper full mash and that, but I've done it in the Brewmeister. I've done a 30-minute boil, I've done no spargins, it's full mash. I've added it to the cube. I added about, I think it was 40 grams of Columbus for a 10 litre, and just added the hot wort straight onto it. It's currently fermenting out still. I'm leaving them about 3 weeks at the moment, just to give them a good time. I'm in no real rush, and yeah, it seems to be working. The clean-up time is super fast. I mean, today I set up at 20 to 7, got the water in. It was heated up to strike temperature by 20 past 7. Added the grain. Obviously it's a small amount of grain, small amount of water to be heating up. We are at now 9 o'clock, and I will actually start the boil now because that's still draining. And I'm only doing a 30-minute boil. And as soon as I was up to boil, we're adding 26 grams of East Kent Goldings. It's only dry stout. I love them sort of recipes where I haven't got to like worry about too much. You know, the hops are in then and it's done. I go off and do the thing. And around this time now, when I cut the camera, is when I'll be washing the malt pipe up and getting all the grain out, which is, you know, perfect. It's what the one thing I love about the brewing machines, you know, whether it even the 10 litre, you can't beat it, to be fair, because how many systems, everyone can say they can wash theirs up in the sink, but that fits in the sink like a normal domestic sink, and it can just be washed up in there. Whereas I feel the grain farmer, the larger Braumeister, no offence to them, they really need almost an outside space, or you wash them up in your bath or your shower or something like that, because you need that kind of room to manoeuvre. But with this one, it's kind of, you wash it up in the sink, you're next to the unit, and by the time the end of the boil's done, you drain it all out, add a little bit of brewery cleaner to it, heat it up, clean it through again, get in there with a scourer, job done. And last time I brewed, I finished that early. Like today, I probably will finish easily, you know, gone and done, probably cleaned up by 10 o'clock. I stood there and thought, wow, I could probably brew again, and I nearly was going to, but if it wasn't for not having the grain crushed, I would have chucked a whole nother load in and just gone again and brewed another batch straight away. And it's having the space to ferment all. But I think that's the beauty of the Braumeister as well. Even if you get the 10 litre, you could brew twice in one day. You could brew twice in one day with a 20 litre if you want 40 litres of beer kind of, you know, thing. But if you wanted 2 little batches of beer, it's perfect. The Mosaic American type IPA that I brewed, or whatever you want to call it, was fantastic. You know, for a no chill cube beer, I've done them before. I know the results. I've had them before from Ant Rogerson. Some of them have been fantastic. Well, all of Ant's beers have been fantastic, to be fair. I've done a couple of no chills, to be fair, that were a little bit on the iffy side, if I'm honest. I think there's certain styles that work best. It's obviously depending on your. It's a very experimental thing. I don't think anyone will ever nail it 100% unless they probably study it for the next however many years. But I think there's so many variables for things to kind of not go wrong, but in terms of the hopping ratios and that, there's these charts you get online and that, but I don't think there's a definitive thing as yet. I think it's very much trial and error. And when you find what works for you, it will work for you. I think like the stouts and the porters and that, ones that have lower hopping ratios are quite good, because you ain't got to worry about, if you had the hops at the start, like I'm going to with this time, they're not going to be sitting there for too long, you know. And if you add the hops to the cube, if you get the certain balance of having so much, and you get the bitterness just right, you're not going to go far wrong with that either, because in the hoppiness, like with the Mosaic, it probably hid a multitude of sins, like some of the beer kits. You know, once you've got that hoppiness in there, you can't really tell what's going on. It was fantastic, the Mosaic one. I've got another half pack of it to use, and I'll probably do the same again with some of the beer I've got. It won't be a wheat beer this time, it'll just be probably 100% pale, maybe a little bit of carapils in there, but it's a fantastic hop, and it was just a great beer. You know, we're not really into summer yet, but it would have been a great summer beer. And then the trouble for me is we're nearing the point where we are getting some better weather in the UK, so my fermentation is going to, you know, really take a hit. I've got to be careful about what I'm brewing, what yeast I'm using, otherwise I just end up making really poor beer, you know, through no fault of my own, other than that I've got no temperature control. And you know, as it is, getting over to my mum's house and brewing over there, it's not really going to work out. So until I get a definitive way of controlling the, you know, fermentation temperature, I tend to brew with the seasons. I kind of tend to go for more kind of wheat beers and that in the summer, because it can allow the yeast to kind of get up to that higher temperature, not worry too much. It is quite a steady temperature in the cupboard where I ferment, but you know, when you get these hot days, that's going to just put a massive spike in the beer, and then before you know it, it's not going to be great. And it's okay, you can do these things with wet towels and fans and that, but when you've got 3 children and your missus is, some of that ain't just gonna, you know, ain't gonna wash. So I tend to just, you know, hope for the best and pray kind of thing. Yeah, so I've kind of been cutting a lot of corners, if I'm honest, but mainly because like you know, my last video, I have to say, a lot of support from people, you know, I can't thank enough, you know. And you know, I don't want to kind of touch on it too much, because I want to come a little bit back to the brewing. I might do another video about that one day, because I feel that a lot of people appreciate it. There's a lot of people, it's Mental Awareness Week this week, funny enough, and I think it surprised me. I'm not naming names of the people that come to me. There's people even within my family that I guess that I didn't even realise had a hard time, or possibly still are. I think you just don't know until you talk, and I think if it's one thing that I found the hardest to do was to tell people, and telling people has made it better, easier rather than better. It's hard to explain, but it's made it a lot easier. I think people can be understanding to a point when they haven't experienced it themselves, but they're then more understanding because they know what's happening to you. And then the people that have had it, they're there for your support. You've got a lot more pillars of support around you, I think, once you've kind of spoke to people, and I think that's the key. And I think keeping it bottled up only adds to it. I think it's probably one of the worst things is to keep it to yourself. So I think talking is definitely a key thing, and I think, you know, why not tell everyone on here, because most people, you know, you've watched enough of my videos and whatnot, you know, why not share these things? You know, everyone's great in the community and that. So yeah, it was enough support from that. You know, thanks to everyone that commented on that. It was, you know, really nice to see, actually, quite heartwarming. So yeah, I've, you know, because of that, I've just kind of decided to make things easier on myself than not worry about them. So, you know, I kind of expect the beers to be bad because the grain's not as good as it could be, and I don't expect it to be bad because of the method, because I know that no chilling can make fantastic beers. I know that full mash doesn't really affect a lot of, you know, your efficiency might take a very small hit, but to be fair, with the Braumeister and the mash schedules that you have, it really doesn't affect it that much, I can tell you that. Yeah, it's working well. It's an easy brew day, it's cutting corners if you like, but it works, and I don't think that anyone should be chastised for kind of, you know, brewing beer how they want to brew it. So, you know, if you find a way that you can shave a little time off your brewing method, I mean, a lot of people go, oh, why not sparge when it's that easy? I've seen people in forums, you've got this machine that costs X amount, why wouldn't you sparge and that? But why, you know, why wouldn't you? If you don't want to, you don't have to, you can not do it. You know, I mean, the choice is yours, you're not forced to do it, kind of thing. So yeah, and we're gonna ferment now with, I've still got some of the mangrove jack yeast. They're getting in a short supply now, and they've been some fantastic yeast, actually. I was quite a devout US-05, and that's all I use, but I got sent these probably about a year ago now, so these are getting on. But then, to be fair, this is probably like one of the last packets I have, and it's a New World Strong Ale M42 from, my brain's gone, the Mangrove Jacks range. They're good yeasts. They don't really tend to kind of, not really had any slow starts or anything. They've been quite good. One thing I have experienced, I have to say, with the no chill, and I looked it up, and I asked Dan Rogers about it, was whether to add a protofruit tablet or your finings, kettle finings. And one of the days I added it to the kettle, one of the days I added it to the cube, and I did a ferment. I think it was probably the Mosaic Pale Ale. Ferment went okay, everything looked okay. Towards the end of the ferment, I had some really weird stuff floating on the top, and I thought it was infected. I was about to bin it. When I tasted it, I was like, wow, this beer tastes fantastic. I'm not binning this, going to bottle it and see what it's like. And it's been one of the best beers I've had in a while. I've only got a very few bottles left. I've kept a couple. I'm going to drop one round to Ham with Homebrew when I next see him. But other than that, it's gone. I couldn't, you know, I haven't even got the spare cash to post in yet at the moment. But that aside, it was too good almost to share. Anyway, there was this weird thing floating on the top, and from what I found out is because of the finings being added to the cube, or not sort of sufficiently drained out prior to fermentation, when the yeast was doing its thing and the ferment was going on, it must have pushed a lot of the crap and the bit that it's kind of gathered together with the finings up to the top. So that was kind of all that murk floating on the top. At first I thought it was an infection. So I think sometimes you get that even on a good like kettle transfer to fermenter, and you've used too many finings. People have experienced it, and they've said they had it in their beer and couldn't work out what it was. And a lot of people said it's probably the finings coming up to the surface of the beer, where the yeast has, you know, risen up and it's dragged it up with it. And I think that's all it was in the end. But I almost binned the batch of beer just on the look of it, and I think that's always important. You should taste it and maybe give it another few days just to make sure it's, you know, it's done its thing. That could have been a big batch of beer that was, you know, fantastic. I think the only unfortunate thing with brewing too much of a good beer is you drink it too fast. I wouldn't say I've kind of hit the bottle, but I found it very hard to keep my hands off it. It was such a nice beer. For the moment, I'm probably going to exclusively stick to 10 litre batches, unless I have a kit to review for someone or anything like that. Then it will be a big batch. But other than that, I'm going to stick to the 10 litres for now, just to kind of, you know, keep things simple and do a bit more repeatability, really. Wrap it up. It's just been a little bit of a waffle. I'm going to tag it on as a homebrew Wednesday. I haven't done one for a while, and I will sorry, it always worries me when the brand master says deactivation of pump. I think they sound wrong, but it deactivates at various times where it does it to allow the malt to settle when it's pumping it through the mash, and it deacts at 88 degrees to allow the boil. I guess it doesn't want it pumping while it's boiling. It doesn't really need to. But it always worries when I see deactivation of pump. I think, oh my god, it's broken. But you know, and I still look at it now and think, what's going on? Even though I know it's going to do it. So yeah, it's been a bit of a waffle. But just wanted to update what we're on, and I probably will cut back with a little, you know, review of the beer that I brewed during this time, and then I might start sparging, I might not, but for now I'm going to kind of work my way through the homebrew Bible and kind of use up all my grain, and then I might actually kind of exclusively for a little while after that stick to kind of ordering some of the ones from Malt Miller where they're pre-made, just so I don't have too much grain kicking around, you know, for too long. So I find sometimes with brewing I get into this habit of knowing I want to brew, ordering a lot of equipment and a lot of, you know, stuff, and then something happens in my life, like invariably it always does, you know, you get busy periods and, you know, life is life, you know, life goes on. And then before you know it, you're like, oh, I haven't got into that, and that's sitting there, and then you feel compelled to use it, and I think you just end up in this, for me anyway, like a rut of like, you know, I've got this stuff, I've got nowhere to store it, it needs to be used. So I might stick to kind of ordering some kits, the custom kits, ordering what I want, and then you've used up, and that's it, it's gone then kind of thing. I do like as well, normally you can order the 25 kilo in separate bags, where you get like 5 kilo, that works really well. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so I'll cut back in probably a few weeks' time, and we'll review the finished product of this and see if it's like. And I'll be honest, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I think it tastes like crap because for whatever reason, I'll tell you. But to be fair, I don't know whether I'm just easily pleased at the moment in the beer that I'm brewing, and the fact that I find at the moment, for some reason, I don't know if I've got tight as I'm getting older, that some of the supermarkets haven't got as good a deals as they did previously on beer. It seems to be they're getting really kind of like promoting the craft beer, but they're ramping the price up of all the beer. And I'm not talking about your Stellas and your Carlins and all that tripe, but like some of the good stuff, you know, the what I would call commercial-ish, borderline like craft beer that's still quite nice in the bottle and that, but they're really kind of ramping it up and tacking it on with putting it in the craft beer range and separating it from some of the other beer, and then like inflating the price, and you don't get these deals. You know, people moan about the supermarket deals, oh, you know, it's devaluing the product, things like that. But let's be fair, we all go in there and get these deals kind of thing. But I feel like they're ramping it up, and they're squeezing us for a little bit more now. But you know, so home brewing, what can I say?